Hello, it's John Heaton, and today I'm going to continue my review of individual Beatles songs. I'm going to choose a song from the White Album. Happiness is a Warm Gun from John Lennon. Finishes side one in splendid fashion. And a few things to say about this. The musicianship is excellent, and it's one of the tracks on the White Album where all four are keenly involved, playing their respective instruments to great effect. It's on record as being a favourite of not only the writer John, but also George Harrison and Paul McCartney in interviews have said that they really like this song. So that's good. It's kind of a mixture of three bits put together, and that's not detrimental at all to the quality of the song. And it's quite ironic that John Lennon in an interview said regarding You Never Give Me Your Money that it's just bits of songs thrown together. Well, here, as one of my commenters pointed out, he's done exactly the same the year before. And as I say, it enhances the song, not the opposite. So, great backing vocals from George and Paul, Bang Bang Shoot Shoot. Obviously an unfortunate title for the song with the hindsight of knowing that John was to be murdered 12 years later. That's unfortunate. Some strange lyrics in here. Not only the opening bit, she's not a girl who misses much. She's well acquainted with the touch of the velvet hand like a lizard on a window pane. The man in the crowd with the multicoloured mirrors on his hobnail boots, lying with his eyes while his hands are busy working overtime. The soap impression of his wife, which she ate and donated to the National Trust. Great wacky lyrics. And by the way, that lyric about the man with the mirror on his hobnail boots apparently was a reference to a guy who had mirrors on his boots so he could see up the skirts of ladies at a football match. And as Derek Taylor pointed out, it's a bizarre way to get your kicks. So that was obviously when John read that, maybe it was in the paper or something. He was inspired, as he so often is, to write a song about it. And the I Need a Fix Because I'm Going Down, probably a reference to heroin, because John was in his heroin period in late 68 through a portion of 69 before writing the Cold Turkey heroin withdrawal song, recorded in September 69, released in October, I think. And amusing, risque lyrics about when I hold you in my arms and I feel my finger on your trigger. I know no one can do me no harm because happiness is a warm gun. The whole song was inspired by Gun magazine, which George Martin brought into the studio, where the title of the Gun Museum magazine was exactly that, happiness is a warm gun, and John again saw it and thought, what a bizarre phrase. You know, happiness is when you just shot something. In this case, an animal, probably, because I think it was a hunting magazine. I'm not sure if George Martin was into hunting, but anyway, he had this magazine. Mark Lewison describes the sessions, recorded or started Monday the 23rd September, and continuing on the 24th of September. Happiness is a Warm Gun went to a great many takes, says Chris Thomas. We used to make jokes out of it. Take 83 takes it did not reach, but it did make 70 rhythm track recordings, rather effortlessly because of the complicated tempo changes between 3/4 and 4/4 time. The first 45 were taped during this session, 23rd September. Bass, drums, John's lead guitar, his guide vocal, and George's fuzzed lead guitar. There was then much discussion between the Beatles captured on tape about how to play the song and how some sections were easier, more difficult than others. Because as you know, you probably know this book, Mark Lewison, Recording Sessions. He was granted access to all of the recording sessions for all of the tracks, including the rehearsals, take one through to the finished take. So he had the privilege of listening to all the studio banter. And that book shows that some of the sessions for the White Album were not as tense as has been made out, and they were getting on, at least musically, for a lot of the sessions. Jeff Emerick is very disparaging about the White Album, saying it's their least inspired album. But I think he's got rather prejudiced opinions because he left very early during the sessions because of the mood in the studio and because the Beatles tended to take out their anger and frustration on him, poor fellow, and he left later to rejoin for the Abbey Road album. Ian MacDonald don't have the book to hand, but he's very complimentary about this track, which, as we know, isn't always the case. I think most people like it. Again, it's not, I mean, it's obviously a very well-known track amongst fans, but the casual fan will not know it because it wasn't a single, probably never played on the radio, and hence it's a bit of a lost gem on the White Album, a bit like Long, Long, Long at the end of side 3. But it's one for the ages, truly brilliant Beatles track, and one of the many brilliant tracks on that great double album, the White Album as it's known today. So thank you for watching. See you next time.